Welcome back from the video, My Iceberg is Melting. So there's a lot of correlation between the story of the penguins and how the penguins need to find new homes and new shelter for their loved ones with the situation that our services are in. So we recognize the fact that we need to find more opportunities for people to connect in meaningful ways in the community. And we really need every single staff member to be part of that scouting crew that are going out and waving the weather and waving the rejections to find places that individuals that we support can find meaningful connections within the community. So the scouts need to go out and they need to find places within the community that share passion and interest with the individuals that we serve, people that are willing to be unpaid supports to individuals with developmental disabilities, opportunities for people to find competitive employment, and if they're not quite ready for competitive employment, opportunities for people to volunteer and contribute and find that same meaning that you and I get from coming to work every day. So please be scouts for our organizations. Please be scouts for the individuals that we support, because it makes a difference for people to have meaningful connections, to have relationships. We recognize that Ohio really doesn't have a choice. And Ohio needs to show, they need to demonstrate through data that people are moving forward, that people are moving away from segregated workshops and moving away from ICF-DD facilities, and they're moving into community and home-based services. If Ohio chooses, providers across Ohio chooses to not take action, if they choose to not create better opportunities for individuals with developmental disabilities, then Ohio would be at risk to have similar actions to what happened in the state of Oregon. So because Oregon did not have the data, because Oregon was not able to show progress in helping people have more integrated experiences, there were sanctions placed on the state of Oregon. The great news is we have a plan. We have a plan that's working phenomenally well. And so our plan is to increase community integration, improve performance within our centers, get people hired in the community, and find opportunities for typical people to be within our building. We know that our plan is working because we look at these indicators for quality. Are we enhancing people's quality of life? Are we giving them access and participation in the greater community? Do they have the freedom and support that they need to manage work and non-work time? And are the opportunities that we give them personalized, and do they connect back to their established outcomes? And the reality is we're being phenomenally successful by using these 4 very basic indicators that are derived from the national core indicators. So we use these indicators and we track our data to see the progress that we're making. And so if you look at the integration matrix ahead of you, we collect this information every time that we are providing services. And so if somebody is in the work center, we collect that data, and that data is really just rated a tier 1. It doesn't mean that it's bad that somebody's in the work center. It just means that it's not an integrated experience. Now, if we have a guest speaker that comes in, if somebody is volunteering with Katie Bakes and they're making cookies for the local food pantry or for the blood drive, then that would be a reverse integration situation, and so we would collect that data out of tier 2. We're really good at doing these food, fun, and shopping trips, a community trip where people are just going out and they're in the community, but they're really not creating relationships. They're not spending time around people with shared interests, and traditionally the community trip is not related back to their outcome. What we're really doing is we're looking for opportunities within our home-based services as well as our community-based services to help people participate around their outcomes. And so if I have an outcome around being helpful and creating relationships around shared interests, contributing to my community, then I'm volunteering at the Red Cross. That would be a tier 4. And so we know that to create a relationship, people have to have elbow time with typical people. And if there's no elbow time, no relationship is created. And so as the relationship is created and people begin to recognize the individual, they miss them when they're not there, they call them for special events, then we're really seeing that as the tier 5. That's really what we're looking for as opportunities for people to connect and be missed when they're not there. And so a great example of that would be the tiers that go to Dawes Arboretum, that are invited to their banquet in the evening, that got special permission to watch the butterflies come out of the chrysalis. An opportunity for them to connect with a staff person out at Dawes around their shared interests. So we know that if somebody was constantly at a tier 5, they would be absolutely exhausted. Yet at the same time, if somebody's only in the workshop, they really don't have an opportunity to create relationships with typical people. And so people need a variety of experiences throughout their day, throughout their week, throughout their month. This requires our organizations to have an intense focus on our customers and be very flexible and nimble, because the reality is, if we're giving people these opportunities to control their daily schedules, opportunities to make choices and decisions, then it also means that we can't have somebody have to pre-schedule 2 weeks in advance to go to the grocery store. You and I go to the grocery store, and chances are there's been a time in your life, maybe once, probably several, where you went to the grocery store and the following day, or maybe even when you get home that evening, you realize that you forgot something. Maybe you needed an additional gallon of milk because you were going to be doing some additional baking. Or maybe you just forgot the bread. So you need to go back to the grocery store the next day. Well, people with developmental disabilities are no different than that. And so we need to give them the opportunity that if they forgot milk or bread, that they're able to go back to the grocery store the next day, and they don't have to pre-schedule that trip to the grocery store 2 weeks in advance. So flexibility and nimbleness is an absolute requirement within our organizations, because things are always changing, because life is always changing. Our organizations are really different. We're different because of our organizational values. And so under the About Our Organization tab, the organization value chart is listed, and I'm going to pull that up and share that with you now. Back in 2014, when Hopewell Industries and Lyco Incorporated began the process of sharing services, and as staff members began to get to know each other, we came together and we said, what's really important to our organization? What are the habits that we need to preserve from Lyco and Hopewell as we come together to ensure that we're still providing those core beliefs of services that are so critically important? And so we recognize that habits that are important to our organization is that every single staff member is solution oriented, because there's lots of obstacles and barriers that we're going to come across every single day. But a solution-oriented staff person brings solutions to the table when they're recognizing that something's not working. The other piece that comes in mind with that is being open for feedback and providing open feedback and being open-minded and listening. If you're not listening, if you're not being open-minded when people are talking to you and you're shutting down, then it really stifles that solution-orientedness. It really stifles creativity. The reality is there's no easy way to help people create unpaid relationships, to help people gain competitive employment. So we can't cut corners. We just have to do it right every single time. We have to share the workload. And the values around the outside help support those habits that we believe in people having choice. We believe in teamwork. We believe in progressiveness. We believe in community connectedness and creativity. We value partnerships and integrity. Oops, sorry. And then if you look more closely into the middle on the paper in your hand is our core beliefs. So our core beliefs is really founded in best practices and quality, creating opportunities for continual growth and continual opportunity. And that's for staff members as well as individuals served. Making sure that staff and individuals served become stronger and smarter, creating